Well, it's a very good morning from him, and of course, it's a very good morning from me. I hope you're well. Welcome to my live stream again on a Tuesday because, like, May's been like full up of bank holidays. I bet people from foreign countries from abroad probably think we're nuts having all these bank holidays all in 1 month. But there we are. Such is life. Hope you enjoyed it. Weather's lovely. Everything's moving along smoothly, although it's not, and I'm going to come on to that a bit later. I've got a couple of things for you. I've got an update for you on pensions credit for the new tax year. Just want to give you an update on that as well. Then I want to take a look at the bond market. A bit of a turmoil at the moment. It's affected things last week and this week. So if you're on holiday this week, because half term with kids and that, you might not be able to see what's going on. I'm sure you have kept your nose to the ground. I think that's the phrase they use, isn't it? Anyway, let's go online. We're on air, so all is good here. So let's get on with our first topic then, which is all about the. Well, I've got something at the end of today as well. So if you don't want to watch the whole thing, just wind it forward to the end. Wind it forward sounds like a video, doesn't it? Show my age there. Anyway, whip it forward. You're on the podcast. Whip it forward because I've got a free webinar coming up on the 6th of June, which is very exciting, and that's all about lead generation because things are changing on the lead generation front. But come on to that shortly. So we've probably got a good 25 minutes or so of great content and updates for you for your CPD. Let's get on to my first topic, really, which is the bond market for you. I want to give you an update on what's been happening in the interest rate marketplace because you probably saw what's going on, etc. So I'm going to head over to this whiteboard. That whiteboard for that one's over there, but it's over there for you, isn't it? Anyway, let's go to that whiteboard and we'll get on to explain how this all works for you. Now, here's one that I prepared earlier for you. Bond Turmoil, UK, May 2023 is what I've entitled it. It actually has a bit of ramifications to 15 years ago, of course, May 2008, when the financial crash was just kicking off. But anyway, let's see what's happening in the world. Now, to understand what's happening to interest rates, because if you're a mortgage broker, unless you've been living under a rock, you've noticed that fixed rates are edging back up again, which is not good, really. And there's different rates coming through. That affects the equity release marketplace, etc. So let's take a look at the bond market first of all and see what's happening and why we've had a few problems. So if I just put up my little whiteboard here, the bond market. So I'm going to put a jolly big sort of square there to indicate a marketplace. Now here we have the UK bond market. Now what we're talking about here for the UK bond market are the stock exchange, effectively, for people buying and selling UK bonds. Now, when we say bonds, we're talking primarily about UK government gilts. People buy and sell these things on the market. On the stock exchange, we're talking about existing gilts, buying and selling. Now, when you buy and sell something that's on the market, you have to set a price. And what's been happening is that prices have been coming down. So prices, if I put their little indicator there for you, prices are coming down on existing government gilts because people buy and sell them, you see. Now, if the prices come down, then the yield, this is the big one for you, the yield goes up because it does. And we can show you calculations to prove that. And that's the problem, you see. Gilt yields are going up. Why are they going up? Well, there's a couple of reasons, which I'll give you in a second, which happened last week. But there's a few underlying principles in the bond market which we can't help happening. Now, how do we get bonds into the bond market? Well, first of all, there's a whole load of existing bonds that have been issued over dozens of years in the past that have been bought and sold by foreign companies, foreign countries, investment trusts, etc., unit trusts. But there's an awful lot of new bonds coming in. And what's worrying actually is the government, the UK government, need to issue, just get the figures for you, 240 billion of new gilts this year in 23. And that's going into the bond market, which increases supply. Of course, if something is heavily in supply, prices come down. Anyway, so 240, we've got to basically fund the government spending by an awful lot of money this year. That's post-pandemic, etc. as well. Now, you've also got Bank of England. Now, the Bank of England, as you know, did a lot of quantitative easing over the last few years, loads in the pandemic. Now, they've reversed that, and they're now throwing these bonds back on the market because they bought a load of bonds, you see, with printed money. They're now throwing these bonds back on the marketplace. And I mean, there was something like 0.75 trillion that they own, something like that, the numbers. Anyway, they're piling them back into the marketplace to sell them. So not only have you got existing bonds, you've got the new stuff coming the government want to get rid of, and you've got the Bank of England shedding off their old stocks. So supply is rocketed, and that's causing a lot of the turmoil. So what else has happened then? Well, the markets have been spooked. Why have the markets been spooked? Here we are. And we're talking here about the people who buy these things. The people who buy bonds have been spooked. And these people who are foreign companies, foreign countries, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, investment funds, these are institutional investors. They've been spooked because the economy in the UK is not looking so healthy. The big problem was the inflation figures came in. Now, as you probably read about, inflation was down, which is great, but underlying inflation wasn't. Food prices have trickled down a little bit, but inflation has been burnt in now to the economy. Now, I remember the 70s and 80s. I know I'm showing my age there, but I remember when inflation was burnt in. What happens then is that people want pay rises all the time because they can't afford to live. So they get pay rises. And what companies then do is to pay those pay rises, they increase their prices. So you get this wage price spiral, they call it, where wages are going up all the time. So prices go up to compensate, to pay for the wages. People can't afford anymore, so they want more wages. And to add to that, two issues in the economy. Number one is we do have high employment in this country, which means that hardly anybody's unemployed, unless, of course, you don't want to, because they're trying to get the over 50s back, aren't they? So everyone's got a job, pretty much. So they can bargain now with their employers for higher wages. We're quite unionised as well still, particularly in the public sector and the post-public sector, the rail track, etc. So they're good at collective bargaining, aren't they? So they're pushing up wages, which people should have a higher wage, but this is the wage price spiral, and it's out of control. And the Bank of England, I'm not going to judge them because they do a great job, but they have missed a bit really, and they're putting rates up again. They keep putting up the bank base rate in order to stultify the economy, to stop spending, to stop people being, having spare money in their pockets. And it's beginning to work because fixed rates are being renewed. People are feeling the pinch. We all thought that the last rate rise was it, but it looks as though there's going to be a few more. So the Bank of England base rate will probably go up. Now, what's happening here then is that the markets have been spooked. The markets who buy these government bonds, which underpins the UK economy, and they want to have better prices. They want better yields. Is the key one. So the yields are going up, prices are coming down. That affects fixed rate mortgages. As you know, fixed rate mortgages are based upon two things, really. They're based upon the gilt prices, gilt yields. That's what they're based upon, fixed rate mortgages, and expectations of future interest rates. That's what determines a fixed rate mortgage 2 or 5 years. And if yields are going up and there's expectation of future interest rates, then fixed rate mortgages are going to get higher and maybe will remain high for the rest of the year. So work it, guys. You need to work this. It ain't going to go away. You've got to work your business model to accompany this. And there's lots of issues that you want to be looking at. Of course, the rates are quite considerable. Just to sort of show you the numbers there for you, here's some figures out today. You'll notice there's equity release rates at the top there, but it's the 15-year UK gilt rate I wanted to show you. So 4.2 was the yield last week. It's now 4.58. As you can see, it's gone up by 0.29. So the yields are going up. So, keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on those figures because a bit of a turmoil in the marketplace. But hope that's kind of clear things up for you. That's not really good news, is it? However you look at it. But we've been there before. The UK economy has been there before. We've had higher rates. We've had inflation. We've dealt with it. It just needs some good government policies to do it. Of course, we've got an election year next year as well, which isn't going to help. So the government don't want to sort of put any hard medicine into the economy, do they? They want to be able to please voters to get votes next year. So that kind of changes things. Anyway, we'll talk about it as time progresses. Let's get on to my big topic now today, and that's pensions credit for you. I want to give you an update on pensions credit for your exams, for your equity release exams, for your CMAP exams, CMAP 1 specifically, and your protection exams as well. And just to update you and keep you up to speed with what's going on. Hope you're well, by the way. Hope you're all right. Hope you enjoy the sunshine. I'm off to see my dad this week. After he lives in France. So me and my brother, who I haven't seen for a long time, my bro, who's a couple of years older than me, we're going to do a road trip down to the tunnel across France to go and see my dad down in Bordeaux where he lives. So looking forward to that a lot, actually. Be nice to catch up with my big bro. I haven't really sat down with him for 8 hours in a car for a long, long time, if ever. Anyway, let's get on to pensions credit. And let's get over to this whiteboard. This is one that I prepared earlier for you. The State Pensions Credit 23-24. Now, what is the pension credit? Well, when you're dealing with people in the later life lending market, of course, particularly if you're in equity release world or just later life lending RIOs and stuff like that, you will talk to people who are over 65. And increasingly, you'll ask them details about their income, because you might want to do an affordability. They might want to pay some interest on their equity release mortgage or whatever it is, or it just might be somebody you're doing a mortgage way into later life for them, and you'll come across this thing called state pensions. And we know about state pension. I don't want to talk about that, but when you're talking about people over the age of 66, really, they have a income. Let's just show a sort of a graph there showing someone's income. Now, when you've reached the age of 66 and you're taking state pension, you may get a state pension, which is purely down to how much you've paid in national insurance over the years. And you can't say it's a particular figure. Now, I'm doing this income per week. Let's keep the same colour pen there for you. Per week, just to give you an idea. Now, you won't be paid weekly. No one's been paid weekly since the 70s, I don't think. I don't think that's the case. But this is per week. Now, if you were to receive the state pension, you would probably get about 100 quid, £100, there you go, per week. You might get up to 140, 150, depending on your national insurance. Now, that's not a lot of money to live on. So many people, of course, have other kinds of income, don't they? They have private pensions, they have occupational pensions, they have rental income, possibly from a buy-to-let or something. They might have a part-time job. They might have interest from savings, which, of course, is giving you quite a good return now. So most people tend to have more income than just the basic state pension. When I say most people, I'm not judging. The world is very different to, I live in Cheltenham and you walk around and there's quite a lot of wealth here, but there's also quite a lot of poverty as well. So you have to look at, the swings and roundabouts. If somebody has retired and they're on state pension and they've got very little else, that's when it gets troublesome for those people. They can't afford to live. So they can apply for pensions credit. And all pensions credit does, it's a state pensions top up, if you like, which tops up their income for a single person to, here, I just put the figure in there for you, to £201 and 5 pence. That's all it does. It tops you up. It tops up your income. And that's the difference. This example I've just given you. This person needs another £101, 5 pence a week, because this person has no other form of income, and therefore they need every help they can get. And that's called state pensions credit. That's for a single person. For a married couple, it's slightly more. You don't need to remember the figures. They're in the tax sheet. Don't worry about it. They're in the tax sheet. Don't need to obviously worry about that. So let's have a look at a couple of things on this for you. First of all, if somebody's income is above £201, they ain't going to get any. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? I think we've probably figured that out. If they've got savings, so they might have £100 a month from pension, but they might have some money in savings. A lot of people do. They might have sort of £20,000 in a savings account, and that £20,000 might earn sort of percentage interest, and they'll get some interest on that, quite a bit as interest rates start to rise. Now, what the government does, it says, look, if you've got savings, we're going to reduce the amount of your pension top up. And what they do here is they ignore the first 10,000. So the first £10,000 is ignored, which is nice, isn't it? But the rest of your savings, what they do is they take every £500 lumps and they assume a pound increase in your income. So in this example, for example, we've got another 10,000, haven't we? There you go. And they ask how many £500 are there in that, and you don't need a calculator for this one, but I'd like to use them because just gives you thinking time, doesn't it? When I was with clients, so I've got £10,000 divided by 500 quid, that gives me 20. So I've got 20, if you like, times 500 quid there, haven't I? So £20 gets added over here to the person's income. It's nominal, of course it is. They will probably get any kind of interest on it, doesn't matter. And that's, a big deal. That's a big deal because that obviously reduces their pensions credit. So savings is a big one. Now, if you're in the equity release world and you've got somebody in this situation that gets pensions credit, and you give them a lump sum equity release, and they kind of put that in the bank temporarily because they don't want to spend it at that point. and they start, putting in the bank, then the government goes, hold on, they might actually lose their pensions credit because of the advice you've given them, and that's not good. You want to stop that from happening, of course you do. So if you're in the equity release world, of course, this is really important to be able to know these figures and what's going on. You can get software to do that now for you. The good sourcing software does all these figures for you now anyway. Okay, what else does it do for you then? Well, if you're eligible for pensions credit, so in other words, that extra there, this pensions, if you've got yourself pensions credit, it's a big smiley face there because you've got a little bit extra money coming in. That opens up the gates for loads of other goodies. It's not a lot of people know about, but they're really worthwhile. The big one is it offers up council tax support. So let's just put some of the goodies down here, shall we? Council tax support. Now, this is crazily good. This is where you get your council tax paid for you. Yeah, that's just brilliant. So, they might be sitting on a quite expensive property, they might be renting, doesn't matter, or buying. They won't have to pay council tax. It gets paid for you. How cool is that? They might also get housing benefit, by the way. Opens up the gates to housing benefit, which of course is a brilliant thing for people. So you can see what it's doing. It's giving you all sorts of other goodies. You also get the BBC license fee. There you go, paid for you. How long that's going to go on for, I don't know. But you get your BBC license fee paid for you as well. So you can keep Gary Lineker in his 1.75 million salary. There you go. A bit of politics there. We won't get any further on that one. Also, SME, support for mortgage interest. SME is really cool because if you're claiming pensions credit, there's no waiting list for waiting time period to get your SME. So that's pretty good as well. So nothing to sniff about there as well. You get your cold weather allowance. Yeah, let's sneak in that one for you. Your cold weather allowance. That's where it goes below 0 degrees at 0%. Sounds like a mortgage, isn't it? 0 degrees for a period, I think it's 7 days or something. Then they get an extra winter allowance as well, which is nice. And I think there's a few other bits and pieces available to them. So that's pensions credit, really. It's a really important thing to understand and know about. And it helps a lot of people, and I think that's a really good thing, to help people who are skint and retired. Ultimately, of course, it's planning your own way, isn't it? If you're a mortgage advisor, pensions advisor, financial advisor, you need to be helping your client to plan for their retirement, so that they're not just relying on a state pension. They do have some extra pensions that come in. And a lot of people are carrying on working now as well, which makes life a lot easier. So there's an update for you. I hope that's been useful. Well done, everybody. Nice update for you on pensions credit. Hope you found that one useful as a little update for you as well. And remember, the tax sheets are all in the exams. The videos we have on our boot camps, by the way, we do update the ones that are rate sensitive and time sensitive, but some of them are evergreen. You see, things don't always change, do they? Before we go, I just want to share with you a little story called Feeding Seals in the Zoo, which is just my sort of title of my last topic for you. Feeding seals in the zoo. You've been to the zoo and you see the zookeepers throwing fish at the seals. They tug away. And of course, the zookeeper's got this bucket which they carefully give out to each of the seals, and the zookeeper's got complete control over how much the seals eat because they're not in the wild, are they? So that's the concept. Now, this is all to do with lead generation. Now, the problem with lead generation with most mortgage advisors, financial advisors not so much, because they have a lot of referral systems. They have a lot of professional referrals, and they have client banks that they don't have time to deal with them all anyway. So we're talking about mortgage advisors, protection advisors, who have been lured in by the easy pickings of the mortgage industry, told by the principal firms that they've joined as an AR that there's loads of leads available and they're going to have loads of business. It's all going to be quite easy. It hasn't turned out that way. And a lot of them, of course, are relying on bought leads. And bought leads are having some major changes coming up soon with Consumer Duty predominantly, and we'll want to talk about that. But the metaphor is a lovely film I used to see. One of my favourite films from the 1990s called Glengarry Glen Ross. I don't know if you've seen it. Let me show you a picture of Glengarry Glen Ross. You'll like this one. There you go. There's the picture. Now, Glengarry Glen Ross, if you haven't seen it, it's worth looking up on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. And it's got some really good stars, as you can see. They've got Kevin Spacey there. You've got Alec Baldwin. You've got some really good stars and Jack Lemmon, I think. A top-notch film. But it involves a real estate company in the US And the real estate company in the US has a number of sellers, realtors, and they're right in the middle of a recession. They're right in the middle of the early 1990s recession in the US and the UK, of course, and the housing market is tanking. So they're really struggling to get business, and they're not doing very well. So the company brings in this like kind of sales manager, sales trainer called Alec Baldwin. I'll show you a photograph of Alec Baldwin. Brilliant photograph. Doesn't he look young in that one? And he's a bit of a smooth type. He's smarmy, sharp. You know, he's aggressive, and he's just like he comes in now to motivate them. And basically, he's got some leads that he promises them that he will give to the best performing salesperson. And because he's got these leads which he's keeping in a bucket and he's dangling them in front of the salespeople, he's causing all sorts of anger and anguish amongst these salespeople who will start infighting as well. And there's a lovely picture here of look at that body language on that picture. It's Kevin Spacey on the left. Look at the body language. They're like cowboys, aren't they? But they're all confronting each other because they're angry about the lack of business, and they all want the leads that Alec Baldwin's got for them. And it's just crazy, really, when you look at it. But I love that picture. I think it's a really, really good picture, that one. The upshot is, of course, that they all start to fight each other, and Alec Baldwin never really had any leads. He was using it to try and get them to fight each other for business, but it didn't really work. Good story. You might want to see the film. But the point is, though, that this is now happening in the current market because the lead generation, where you buy a lead, you pay £100 and you get a lead from the internet. There's plenty of sites that do it, and you phone up that client and you pull them in for a meeting. It's changing a lot, predominantly down to Consumer Duty. Consumer Duty requires that customers have a smooth and transparent customer journey from start to finish, and they get a great outcome at the end. Customers deserve that anyway. You don't need Consumer Duty to make it legislation. They deserve that anyway. And the journey when they're online looking for information is where it gets a bit opaque. And what's happening in some instances is that the customer's gone online to look for information because they want to buy it themselves, and they can't get the information. So there's a little box pops up saying, do you want more information? We can help you further. Just put your details in here. And lo and behold, 30 minutes later, some smart financial advisor phones up that client and says, look, hi, would you like a meeting with me and talk about your mortgage? Of course, the customer never wanted that. They just wanted a bit more information. So the fact that the mortgage advisor gets really frustrated because she wanted an appointment from that because she paid £100 for that one, but all the customer wants is a bit more information. So it's that journey is not good. So they need to make it crystal clear that you're going to have a phone call from a mortgage broker, and she's going to phone you up and she's going to book an appointment. And that puts a lot of people off. So you'll find that a lot of leads will start coming down, the numbers. The quality will probably go up, but the number of leads will come down. So the fish will get fatter, but there'll be less of them in the bucket. And it makes you think about it because a lot of mortgage advisors survive on leads. That's how they operate, and I get that. And there's some firms who promise leads to all these new mortgage advisors. You know, leads provided, they say, and all they're doing is they're buying them off the internet in bulk and giving them out to their advisors. So these things are all changing now because of the changing Consumer Duty and the way the FCA are now trying to make these lead generation companies more responsible. So they're going to have to get themselves regulated, all sorts of things. So lots of changes coming in. Anyway, cut a long story short, we've decided to help you out here because I want to show you how you can get leads without buying them. Because, you know, there are many ways of doing it. Modern lead generation techniques is what I want to talk about with you in this webinar that I got planned for you. Just to give you the dates for you, here goes. Here's the picture for you. Join my free live stream. How can a mortgage advisor obtain sales leads for modern mortgage and later life advisors? Wednesday, 7th June, 6 p.m. So done in the evening, so you can rock up and attend that live, and you get to ask questions live as well. And if you register for it, you can also get the recording, which is all nice. So about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I would talk to you about all things to do with leads, how to organize them, how to do referrals, professional referrals, how to use social media, all sorts of other ways of doing how to do education. That's where the key is, particularly in the later life marketplace. So some modern methods of getting leads which will help you. Now, we send that out because there's no link on there. Can you see there's deliberately no link on there because I don't want all and sundry to come on to this. I want our members to attend. It's a benefit that we give to our membership. Now we have a membership here; it's free, and anybody that comes into our system they become a member, and we mail out to them every Monday night with all sorts of good information and updates. If you're not on that membership list, then you won't hear about it. So if you want to get onto the membership list, what you want to do is you want to sign up for it. So here's Paul Archer's Mortgage Advisor Development Weekly Insights. We send you a weekly email, you see. There's the QR code, so you could probably pause the video and click on that. If you're on the podcast, then you'll just have to go to our website and put your email in one of those lovely little boxes, and we'll put you on our mailing list and get those details to you, because we're going to send them out Thursday, I think, to share with you the details of that. We'll send them out Thursday for you, which is great. And come along to the webinar. I'm looking forward to it because we are committed to developing mortgage and later life advisors here. I am personally committed to that, and it sorries me when I hear about mortgage advisors who are scratching around for leads and they don't know how to do it. They're full training given, they were promised, but they don't get any. They just get a lead. It's like feeding fish, feeding seals in the zoo, isn't it? And generally, I want to help as much as possible I can. So there we are. That's seals in the zoo. Hope you found that interesting as well. We need to wrap up now because we've 26 minutes long podcast, long live stream. But I hope there's been some useful information for you here. Be back next week, Monday, down to see my dad, as I said, down in France. But I'm back Sunday, which probably will be a bad journey actually, because it's the end of the half term. There'll be a lot of people coming home. But anyway, be back Sunday at some point, hopefully in time for my Monday lunchtime live stream, unless I travel all night, and I'll tell you at start attending. Anyway, looking forward to it a lot. Weather's great, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Other than that, have fantastic times, everybody, and I'll be seeing you again next week. Bye for now.